Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations. Much love and respect to you. I came out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. Now, this lesson is going to be entitled, You Arabs / Ishmaelites have a lot to pay for as well. Okay? Or you're going to be judged in these latter days. And the reason being, one of the main reasons, is what you've done to the children of Israel. Okay, the children of Israel being the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, the 12 tribes of Israel, as they're being called today. You had a big hand in putting them in slavery, okay, and destroying them, right? And when you come to Psalms, the 83rd chapter, right after it mentions Esau, Edom, which is our top enemy, it actually mentions Ishmael. Okay. This is Psalms 83 and verse 1. It says, Keep not thou silence, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Most High. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Right? So these are the nations that are the enemies of the Heavenly Father that have taken counsel against his people. Okay? They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, which is our top enemy, and the Ishmaelites, okay, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot, Salah. Okay, so the second one in this list of enemies is the Ishmaelites. Okay, and some brothers may not have been around many Ishmaelites, so they're not familiar with the characteristics of the Ishmaelites. Well, out here in Montreal, we're very familiar with the Ishmaelites. I grew up around many Ishmaelites, and the Ishmaelites, the thing with them, they'll act like they're cool with you, but really deep down, they have the hatred for you, and they're very, very wild, very wild. You could tell an Ishmaelite right away. An Ishmaelite is very wild. And, very, very super aggressive, and very wild. And these are one of the main people that come up against us when we're out there prophesying. They'll mock, they'll script, they'll snickle, they'll say certain, they'll most of the time they'll scream out certain things, whatever the case may be. But, these are enemies. Don't forget that, right? The Edomites are enemies, but these other nations are also enemies. Okay, and they had a major hand in putting you into slavery. But the Ishmaelites have always been into slavery. They've always been into the slave trade. Even going back, we see that in Genesis 37 chapter, dealing with Joseph. Okay, when he was sold, right? The Ishmaelites were a part of that. This is Genesis 37 and 27. It says, Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. Okay, so the Ishmaelites have always been heavy into a slavery. Okay, but guess what? We're coming to the time where we're going to sell them into slavery. Okay, because that's part of the recompense. Let's go to Joel, the 3rd chapter. And I'm doing this lesson basically inspired by the Elder Apostle Tahar's lesson that he did earlier dealing with the Ishmaelites. Okay, now this is Joel, the 3rd chapter. Okay, it says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem," which he's going to take us out of captivity in this time. Okay, because we're still in captivity. Okay, you have a social security, you have a birth certificate, right? That shows that you're in captivity. He's getting ready to remove us out of this captivity. Okay, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, our God, because he is our God, and he's not the God of any of these other nations. He's only our God, and it's the only God that exists. You see, it says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Jehoshaphat, which means the Lord's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. And when you see that word plead, it doesn't mean he's going to beg, oh, please give me my people Israel. No, this word is judge. Let's look it up. It should be shapat. Okay. See, shapat. And I will plead, it says shapat. Okay. You look up the word shapat in the Hebrew for you that are new. Okay. Right. It says what? Judge, plead, which really means to judge. Okay. Avenged. Avenge. He's going to avenge us. He's condemn, execute, judge, defend, deliver. Okay. So that word is to judge. So that's why I said, you Ishmaelites, you so-called Arabs, you're going to be judged for what you've done to the children of Israel, man. You're not innocent, man. You know? And it's funny because a lot of them will lie. A lot of them are liars too, man. And a bunch of hypocrites. They act like they're holy and all this nonsense. But to show you that book, the Quran is full of shit. Them dudes are full of lies, man. Okay. You talk to certain Ishmaelites, you tell, oh yeah, you know the Ishmaelites, you know they dealt with the slave trade, they dealt with slavery. Oh, no, we never did with slavery. No, we never did with slavery. No, we never did with slavery. Okay. No, jamais fait ça. No. So they'll lie to you, and they know very, very well that the so-called Arabs are heavy into slavery and enslaving Israelites and different Africans, you know. But really, the main Africans that they be grabbing up are those Israelites, be Nigerians, you know, Ghanaians, and you know other so-called Africans that are really actually Israelites, right? Because the majority of our people in Africa are where? On the west coast of Africa. Right, you got a lot of Israelites on the south as well. So, you know, so they'll be grabbing them up and they'll put them into slavery. Right, they do that even to this day. Okay, and there's even videos of these Ishmaelites having so-called Africans, which are Israelites in slavery. I'm talking about the Western Africans. Right, which most of them are Israelites, and you know, and whatever, torturing them, putting hot wax on them, and all kind of shit. You see, I've seen those videos before. You know, whipping them, waking them up early in the morning. So Ishmael has a lot to pay for. So let's continue to read this. It says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, in all the coast of Palestine? Right, because you got right now, which the Palestine is where it goes into the Philistines, right? The true Philistines were Hamites, but now is who lives there? It's the Ishmaelites. Okay, them Stinians, man. But guess what? We're not fighting for them. We're not free. No, we're not into these protests. Okay, because we're only concerned with the elect of our people, starting with the elect. Okay, not even really just all of our people. Only the elect is who we're concerned with of the Israelites. We're not concerned with these heathens. These heathens are enemies, although you have Israelites mixed in amongst them. Okay, but for the most part, they're heathens. You know, there's heathens in the earth, you know. Okay, You see what I'm saying? They have their lots, they have their place, you know, in the earth. But guess what? You know, we're not concerned with them. Okay? They're going to receive judgment as well. Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. You got Jake marching, free Stydians, free Stydians, or whatever, right? With those protests. I don't want to say what it said just in case this video gets flagged, but they're doing that. But are they protesting for you? Are they out there in their country protesting for you? Are any of these people protesting for you? But you're going all crazy protesting for these people, which are enemies, which hate you, right? Wouldn't want their daughter to be with you. So what's going on here, man? What the problem is? You Jakes are weak. You Jakes are very weak. You're very pathetic, okay? And it really disgusts me to look at most of you Jakes, how weak and pathetic that you are, man. I just be watching Jake and shaking my head, man. Okay? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. You can't pay back the Heavenly Father for what you've done. Okay? You Ishmaelites and you Hamites and any of you nations which all you nations had a hand in oppressing the nation of Israel. Okay? It says, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Right? You sold us to these Edomites. That's the Grecians, a code word for Edomites. Okay? You understand? So-called white people. You sold us to them. Okay, that you may remove us far from our border. Our border is in the Eastern Hemisphere. You moved us from the Eastern Hemisphere, you know, to the mainly to the Western Hemisphere, man. You see? Okay, okay. So this is what has been done. All right. It says, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. All right. It says, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people afar off, for Yahweh hath spoken it. So what's going to happen? We're going to sell you, all right? Selling these, you know, selling them to these different Ishmaelites, and these different Hamites, or whatever the case may be, man. Okay? Which Tyre and Zidon. Let me look up that. I believe that's right around Palestine too. That was in our land, because that's where them Philistines was at too. Okay. Let me take a look at this real quick. Right. I believe that was the port city. That was a place where all them ships came in from, I believe. Yeah, right. There we go. That's where all them ships came in. Okay, Tyre. I like this image, but this looks like it's not. Yeah, right. There we go. Come on, man. Salakia, give me a second, man. I'm trying to make this thing's not even popping up. These things ain't even popping up right. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, right there by the Mediterranean Sea. Come on, man, this computer's moving funny. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Gotta. Give me a second. Give me a second. Bear with me. Computer's acting funny. Okay, good. You see? You see that? So this is where Tyre and Zidon is. This is all on the coast. Okay. See, this was part of our land. Okay, this was all part of our land, Tyre and Sidon. But you had Hamites that was living there at one point. But now you don't got Hamites living there. Okay, now you got a bunch of other heathen living there. Ishmael, you know, and you have the small hats there too, the liquor hats. But you know, I believe that area, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's mainly Ishmaelites that live in this particular area now. Okay. It's showing you that where Sidon was in this particular image. It's showing you where Sidon was is where Lebanon is now. The majority of people in Lebanon are Ishmaelites. Okay? So that's where Tyre and Sidon is. So, hey, man, you Ishmaelites got a lot to pay for, man. You Ishmaelites got a whole lot to pay for. Okay? And yeah, you Hamites, you helped with that. You have a lot to pay for as well. Okay? So it said that we're going to sell your sons and your daughters into the children of, into the hand of the children of the Lord's going to sell your sons and daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. Okay? So we're going to possess the heathen, you know. We're going to possess the heathen. And the top heathen that we're going to possess, we always say, are the Edomites. But right now, we're getting on the Ishmaelites. Okay? I'm telling you, man, even the brother in the camp, you know, this woman he used to talk to or whatever, he used to know, you know, he told us that that she said that, you know, yeah, those, see them Arabs, this was many years ago. He said, yeah, these were Arab. Yeah, see these because she was an Ishmaelite. She's like, yeah, you see them, the guys, the men, the Ishmaelite men, they don't, the Arab men, they don't like you guys. They smile in your face, but they talk shit about you guys. Tell us to stay away from you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because deep down, Ishmael is very, very jealous of Jake. Just like the rest of these nations. They're very, very jealous of Jake. And the thing is with Ishmael nowadays, what they do is they very much mimic Jake. Very heavily. I mean, heavily, bro. I mean, damn. You know? A lot of times, oh, is that a Jake? But then you can see by his characteristics, now that's an Ishmael. That's a wild Ishmaelite. But they put they even put braids in their head. Okay? They'll sag their pants. They'll wear the fit that Jake wears, the bags that all of that. Right? Which a lot of them are Israelites. You got a lot of Israelites amongst them, of course. Right? I know some. Right? But the point is, I know quite a few actually, but the point is, a lot of them are just straight up Ishmaelites. Okay, but they mimic Jake. And and that's when they started to get the girls. Okay? This is Isaiah 14:1. It says, "For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Now, these strangers is speaking about other Israelites. Okay? And the people, because we're not the heathen they're not going to be joined with us. Okay. Okay. Scriptures say that we shall be alone, right? And when we get to the land, we shall be alone. Okay. We shall dwell alone. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Okay, the top oppressors who was the Edomites, but then you have them other nations, right? The Ishmaelites, okay, the Moabites. We're gonna rule over them too. We're gonna rule over them with a rod of iron, as the prophecies say, and we're gonna bash them to pieces. Okay, we're not gonna be nice with these other nations, man. So I don't know what the vocab's talking about salvation for the other nations. We're not gonna be nice to these other nations. These other nations are gonna be punished. Okay, they got to go through that punishment. Okay, and when they're done with that punishment, we're gonna do away with the Edomites, and then them other nations can chill. You see, this is Revelations 2 in verse 25. It says, "But that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers." Right? So we're gonna have power over the nations if we continue unto the end, right? And then when we're in that rulership position, when Yahushua comes back, we're gonna rule them with a rod of iron, meaning a strict rule, right? A tyrannical rule, if you will. Because we're gonna have this punishment. Punishment, you know, when someone's under punishment, you're not gonna be nice to them, right? There's a reason why when you get arrested, right, the cuffs, they're all tight, they're painful, they're tight, you know, they put them on tight, and it's the way it's set up to be painful every time you move. And then you go into the back of the car, the cop seat, and you know it's all crushing your knees. It's a hard surface crushing your knees. It was designed like that on purpose because you're going through a punishment. Okay, it's not set up like a resort, man. It's not set up like a, you know what I'm saying? Like a comfortable, they put you in a comfortable truck with massage seats so they can massage you on your way to jail. No. Right? Right? They got places like that in certain places in Europe, showing you these devils. They're not in trouble like other men. You got certain places in Europe where the jail is like a resort. The jail is like better than a resort. Okay, straight up. When you look at it, I've watched documentaries on that. Which, how is that a punishment? That's not even a punishment. Which that shows you that these Edomites, they're privileged. These so-called white people, they're very privileged, right? But that privilege is being taken away. It says, and he shall rule them, Salakia, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my father, and I will give him the morning star. Okay, he that hath an ear to hear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the seven churches. So we're going to rule these nations with a rod of iron, man. We're not going to be playing with these nations, man. Okay, let's read a bit of this, man. You can see they got these people in slavery, which either, could be Jakes or Hamites, not sure, right? But there was a lot of Jakes amongst them. It says, over the years, and I would say mostly Jakes because, of the curse, okay? Over the years, global focus and discourse on slavery has concentrated on the transatlantic slave trade, trade that featured American and European merchants. One other trade has, however, remained largely ignored and at times has even been treated as a taboo subject, despite being a key component of African history. Owing to the devastating impact it has had on the continent, its generations, and its people's way of life, the Arab-Muslim slave trade, also known as the Trans-Saharan trade or Eastern slave trade, is noted as the longest slave trade. Okay, and I showed you them Ishmaelites were going. They were into the slave trade for thousands of years. They were dealing with slavery, right? Going back to Joseph, man. Right, having occurred for more than 1,300 years. Yeah, it was way longer than 1,300 years. They've been dealing with slavery, while taking millions of Africans away from their continent to work in foreign lands in the most inhumane conditions. Right? Scholars have christened it a vile genocide. You gotta watch when you say that word, but a veiled genocide. Okay, but you see, Esau's a damn hypocrite. See, the people who wrote this article, Esau's a goddamn hypocrite because he'll call it a veiled genocide, but he won't say that. How come that's not in his textbooks dealing with the slavery on this side? Why is this not? Why wasn't the slave trade on this side of the hemisphere considered that? You see, because he wants to basically, but look at what the Arabs did, right? That's Esau's MO, to try to deflect the blame. Put more of a spotlight on someone else. You got to watch these wordings, right? It says attributing the tagline to the most humiliating and near-death experience slaves were subjected to. Well, just like this one. Just like this one. This slave trade. Okay, you got sharks that still follow the route that the slaves went on the way to with the Atlantic slave trade. So that means they had a constant feed. Right? It means they were constantly shooting babies, kids, women, men overboard to feed to alligators, not to sharks at will. And they would make sure that they make sure they wouldn't escape. They would tie something to them to make them to sink. So they didn't say, listen, we have no use of you, you're sick. If you survive, we'll shoot you. No, they say, all right, we're going to make sure that you don't survive. So these are a bunch of devils, man. From capture in slave markets to labor. See, an Ishmaelite, I'll say this, maybe an Ishmaelite might have just said, all right, I have no use of you. They might have just shot you off the boat. Okay? Without tying your hands and making sure that you can't get free. Because what is the purpose of that? From capture in slave markets to labor fields abroad in the harrowing journey in between. While official figures on the exact number of slaves captured from Africa, and there's a lot of Israelites in Africa, in the trans-Saharan trade are contested, most scholars put the estimate at about 9 million. Now, when you'll hear a lot of these devils, they'll say, "Oh, the sub-Saharan slave, sub-Saharan Africa, sub-Saharan African features." When they say that, they're basically just saying West African features. That's not, when you deal with Sudan, that's not considered sub-Saharan Africa. The Sudanese or the Cushites, that's not sub-Saharan Africa. Let me show you sub-Sahara. Okay, the sub-Saharan Africa is straight up Western Africa. Okay, Nigeria, Ghana, which is that Southern Kingdom look. For the most part, I mean, some of them got a Hamitic type look, but for the most part, it's a lot of that is a Southern Israelite look. Okay, so anyways, let's deal with the Sub-Sahara. Excuse me. Come on. This computer's bugging. Okay. Let's see. No. Because sub means under, right? Sub means under. So what you have to do is you have to find. Well, it's showing you. It's showing you all of this. It's showing you everything under North Africa is what it's showing you. Okay, but let's deal with the Sahara. Let's deal with Saharan. Let's see where the Saharan is. Okay, so the Sahara Desert is known as, so I stand corrected on that. Okay, I stand corrected on that. So the Sahara Desert equates all of those Ishmaelite countries, where all the Ishmaelites are at. All right, let's get a proper map of that, man. Okay, Salakia. Okay, because there's a place called Sahara. Okay, it's right here. There's a Western Sahara. There's an actual place called Western Sahara here, which that was the only place that I seen that was actually named Sahara. So I figured that under this was Sub-Sahara. Okay, but this is only Western Sahara. If you brothers and sisters can see this, it says Western Sahara. This, I was judging it based upon this, which is my fault, which I was acquainted. So I said, okay, so anything under that would be Sub-Saharan. No, so okay, so the Sahara itself, the Sahara Desert, encompasses all these Ishmaelite, and it's all Ishmaelite type countries. Basically, it's the classification of the Ishmaelite countries that are in Africa. You got Morocco, you got Algeria, you got Tunisia. You know, you see people like that, right, from Libya and Egypt. These people are Ishmaelites, for the most part. They look like Ishmaelites, right? Saudi Arabia, Yemen, so on and so forth. And another thing these Ishmaelites will do, they'll try to say, I'm African just like you. I'm African just like you. And that's flipping confusion. I come from Africa too. Yeah, that's confused. First of all, we don't come from Africa. We come from Jerusalem. We come from the land of Israel. All right, we don't come from Africa, man. Okay, and you can't. And that's the confusion of naming yourself after a goddamn continent, man. All right, and the original name of this continent was not Africa. Africa, you say mean not, Fricka meaning cold. Okay, that was in the original name, but the name was Ham, or more correctly, Hum, right? Going to the son of Noah. Okay, Hum, the land of Hum, right? Which this is where Hamites, the descendants of Ham, resided, man. Okay, They resided in this region, right? That's why you got a lot of Hamites out here, man. You go to Ethiopia, go to Kenya, Tanzania, you know these different places. There's a lot of Hamites in there as well. Okay, even amongst the Ghana and these different places where it's majority Jake, there's still Hamites that are mixed in amongst them. Okay, right? Because you got Edomites calling themselves South Africans. You look at the South African teams full of Edomites, right? So it means nothing. I'm from Africa. I'm African. What does that? It means absolutely nothing. We are Israelites. There's no nation as a nation of Africa. We are Israelites, okay? And that's how these people can confuse you. I'm African just like you. And Jacob, like, oh yeah, we got a bond because you come from Africa and I'm African, right? It's confusion, man. It's confusion. All right. So at the end of the day, man, Ishmael was selling you Jakes into slavery, and are still selling you Jakes into slavery, man. Okay, and guess what? They're going to pay for all of this, man. And we read this part. It says the Arabs raided sub-Saharan Africa for 13 centuries without interruption. All right, so like 1,300 years without interruption. Most of the millions of men they deported have disappeared as a result of inhumane treatment. This painful page in the history of black people has apparently not been completely turned. What is black people? See, this is another confusion. You got Hamites, you got Israelites, you got a lot of East Indians that look black. You got a lot of them Aborigines look like so-called black people. They got afros and all that. Okay? So what is black people? Okay, we don't have any connection to those people, not any genetic connection whatsoever. We're actually closer genetically related to the so-called white people than we are to those guys. We're more closer genetically related to the so-called Arabs, the Ishmaelites, genetically, than those guys, because they come from Abraham. And so do Edomites. They come from Abraham as well. Okay, and we come from Abraham. We're Jacob. Those guys don't even come from Seth. I mean, not Seth. Excuse me. They don't even come from Shem. So a look and what Esau can say, a phenotype, and that doesn't determine the race that you come from. Okay. So, anyways, so Lakia, I went on a lot of long rants, but there's a lot of confusion, man. I gotta read this real quick, man. There's a lot of confusion. This is Isaiah 25:7. It says, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Yeah, there's a veil. There's this, right? These nations, who they are is hidden. Okay, it's covered, but we're gonna peel back the veil. We're gonna reveal, and we're doing that now. We're revealing who these nations truly are. Okay, a bunch of confusion, man. That's why the scriptures say darkness covered the whole earth, man. Okay, so don't be fooled, man. These nations are your enemies. All right, Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect, and I'll say shalom.